This yoga flow is all about helping ourselves to shift through when we feel stuck. So often we can feel like a bit like we're stuck in the mud. We're not really sure which direction or which decision is right, or maybe even wanting to take action, but opportunities aren't presenting themselves. These are just examples of how we can feel stuck in our bodies and more so in our minds in these mental patterns here. So this yoga flow allows us to explore how certain kinds of practices of yoga, how certain flows can assist us in shifting through and opening up and moving through what we need to, so that we can get to the other side of where we're wanting to be. So you can start in a seated position here and find your breath. You have the option to stay here with a nice tall spine, or taking your yoga block and placing it on the top third of the mat widthways on the lowest level. You're laying down over top of it with the block right underneath your shoulder blades, right at the base of the shoulder blades. So you don't want it too low that it's in the arch of the lower back. You want it higher up, but not too high so that your shoulders can't open up and roll open as you rest down. So let your head relax down. You can place a folded blanket or a small pillow underneath if you need that gap filler. You can also keep your knees bent with the feet on the mat for your lower back. Or if it feels okay in your lower back, you can choose to extend the legs. The arms come out wide, palms facing upwards. Letting yourself rest and remain open here. Or maybe even finding openness. Finding your breath as gravity and the support of the block, reversing the natural curve of the spine for a moment, helps you to open up through your chest, through your heart center, through the shoulders that can close off when we're under stress, when we're uncertain about things, unsure. All of these feelings show up in our body. So just breathing easy here, settling in, letting yourself rest, slowly opening from that center line outwards. Noticing if the breath is slowing down at all here. Releasing through the arms as you cross them over, giving yourself a big hug here. And then slowly bending one knee at a time, plant the feet and just roll to your side so you can move the block away. And pressing yourself back into child's pose. So you rest down for a moment, finding your breath, finding your grounding, your connection. Tuck your toes, lift up your knees, pressing back to downward facing dog, feeling as if you're pressing the mat away from you with your hands. Long through the spine, lifting through the hips. On your inhale, slowly lower the knees down to the mat. Exhale, just to slowly press back to child's pose. On your next breath in, roll your weight to your hands into a low plank. And as you breathe out, press back to your downward facing dog. Do that twice more. A slow inhale, lowering the knees. A slow exhale, rocking the hips back. Breathing in, roll the spine forward. And out, pressing back. Once more at your own pace. Avoiding rushing through these two breaths. When we slow the breath down to one movement per breath, we can find ourselves rushing through just to get to the end. So finding downward facing dog once more. On your next breath in, float the right leg into three-legged dog. Bend the knee, step the foot through to the front of the mat. Lower the back knee, Anjaneyasana. Inhale, palms connect above your head. Exhale down to the heart. Finding your breath here for a moment. You can stay here if you choose, or breathe in, sweeping up. Exhale, sweep the arms down as you lean forward. Inhale, press into that front foot. Exhale, releasing down. Continuing like that with your breath, opening up and moving down, strong in that front leg. Once more, hands connect down to the heart, frame that front foot, lift up off the back knee and lower the back heel, cut the back foot to an angle. Finding your warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Give the shoulders a little loosen as you lengthen through the arms. Feel really sturdy through the legs. That back hip is pointing towards the diagonal in the same direction as your toes and your knee. Interlace the hands behind your back. And exhale, let your torso fold down on the inside of that front knee. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, folding over. Moving with your breath. Being sure to make sure that front knee isn't tracking outwards or coming inwards. It's staying aligned with the middle three toes. Letting your arms come up behind you as you hold. Relax the neck. Breathing here. Making sure you're not holding the breath. Releasing back up, extending out. Lift the back heel, plant your hands, and lengthen the right leg up into three-legged dog. Bend the knee and bring the heel over towards the left butt cheek here, opening up through the front of the hip. Stay strong in your shoulders. That left shoulder will naturally lower a little bit. Just make sure you're not sinking into it. And again, make sure you're breathing in. Feel as if you're breathing in all the way up to that bent knee. Exhale, square the hips and lower the foot down. Inhale as you float your knees down to the mat. Exhale, rock back to child's. That flow again, breathe in, rolling forward to your plank. And out, downward facing dog. Inhale, float your left leg into the air. Exhale, bend the knee, step the foot through, lower the back knee, make sure that front shin is vertical. Breathe in, sweep the arms forward and up, and come down to the heart. So just find your breath here into the belly, making sure you're not sinking into the lunge, but just lengthening it. You can hold here or breathe in, reaching upwards, extending. Exhale, sweep down, moving with the breath. As you inhale, really pressing into that front foot and heel to help you lift. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, softening. Last time. Palms connect down the center line to frame that front foot. Lift the back knee, lower the back heel, cut the back foot to an angle. Find your warrior two on this side. Allow yourself to soften through the shoulders and lengthen. Get that firm footing, interlace the fingers behind your back, and exhale, roll your torso down towards the inside of that front knee. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, folding. And pausing here, watching that the hips aren't just sitting back to that left side of the mat. You're still engaging into that warrior two footing. You can bend the elbows a little here if you're tight through the shoulders as well. Make it work for you, not the other way around. Release the arms as you breathe in, lengthen and open. Exhale, frame the front foot, spin on the ball of the back foot. Breathe in, lengthen back to your three-legged dog with the left leg. And find that hip opener on the second side. Keeping the knee lifted, drawing the heel towards the opposite side of the pelvis. Still breathing. Squaring the hips, lower the foot down to the mat. Lower your knees and just rock back to child's pose for a moment. You can have the knees wide here. Let yourself just rest down. You can have the arms down along the sides, reaching towards the feet, doing little wrist curls, feeling long through the spine and the neck. And then help yourself up to hands and knees here. Inhale, lengthen your right leg out behind you. Press back with the heel. And exhale, cross it over to the left. Squeeze through the side body so you can look back at that foot. Taking a breath or two here. And then bend that right knee. Let it land behind the left. Turn your torso to face the right diagonal corner. And rock your hips back towards the heels. So if you feel like you want to rock forward and back with 2 or 3 breaths before you hold in this stretch, feel free to. Otherwise, just adjust your knees as you need to so there's no pain. And let yourself rest down. We hold a lot in our hips. A lot of stress. So letting the belly be soft as you breathe in and out with long, slow breaths, moving into your body. You can always have a pillow, a bolster, or a block between the hips and the foot if you're not quite reaching it. Just feel into what's right for you. Otherwise, just letting your head and neck relax. We're also opening up through the back of the chest. All these areas that we can feel rigid in when we don't know our direction, or when we're confused, or when we're feeling impatient and stuck in the mud. These are the areas that feel rigid, if you imagine that. So bring your hands to the front of the mat. Inhale, lengthen the right leg out behind you. As you exhale, bring the foot to the outside of that right hand. Lift up that back heel and just shift it a bit further back so you're not directly on the kneecap. You can release the back foot if that's comfortable. Finding yourself in lizard pose. So you can sway a little side to side. You can stay here on your hands, or you can explore more depth. Bringing maybe one elbow down at a time. You can also use the block underneath the elbow that's not quite evenly reaching. So you can choose any of these, making sure you're breathing no matter what you choose. Another option is to keep your left hand planted, bend your back knee and reach your right hand to catch the back foot. That will intensify the stretch along the hip flexor and a little bit along the psoas as well, our fear response muscle. So feel into what's right for you. Gently release that back foot, not letting it spring load back to the mat. Plant your hands, step your foot back, and just come into a rocking child's pose for a breath. Until you find your hands and knees. Breathe in, lengthen that left leg out behind you. Exhale, cross the foot over to the right side. Again, squeezing through this side of the body, looking back at the foot for a breath or two. And then bending that left knee, let it land behind the right. Turn your torso to face the left diagonal corner. Rock the hips back towards the heels. Again, just shift through your knees if your hips or knees need a bit of adjustment, so that you can rest and relax down. Noticing the breath and how it's responding to this. Noticing how you're feeling internally with this as well. When we move and shift things in our body, it can sometimes feel like we've shaken up a glass of muddy water. But we shake it up so that we can clear it out a little bit more. And then when we get to come to stillness at the end of the practice, everything starts to settle a little bit and we find more clarity than we did before. So slowing the breath down. And then after your next breath or so, getting ready to move. And bringing your hands to the front of the mat, land your right knee down, inhale, left leg lengthens, exhale, step the foot through to the outside of that left hand. Again, lift up off that back knee, shift it back a little, make sure that front knee on the front leg isn't overextending over the ankle. It's just stacking. Finding your lizard pose on this side. You can hold tension differently on different sides of the body. So allowing yourself to meet this side exactly where it needs to be. Choosing any of those options with the block or the elbows, or bending the back knee, using the left hand to catch that back foot. Keeping long through the spine as you do so. So feel as if you're lifting a little bit forward and up through the sternum. And breathing. This can be experienced as quite an intense pose. So allowing your breath to help you through it will really get you through it. And if this is one of your nemesis poses, know that your breath will help you. Gently release the hand from the foot and rocking back to a rocking child's pose. Just releasing through the hips a little. And then extending your legs, lowering down onto your back here. Plant the feet, let the knees bend, grab your block. Coming into supported bridge pose, so our bodies and our nervous system feel supported through these shifts. Placing it widthways on the lowest level to begin with, underneath the pelvis, right underneath the sacrum, so you don't want it sitting in the arch of the lower back, but underneath the pelvis. You can have the arms extended out wide, or the elbows bent, hands resting on the belly, or right hand on the belly, left hand on the heart. Letting yourself rest and letting that glass of muddy water start to settle. Resting down. Feeling completely supported. You can stay here for up to 10 breaths or longer if it feels comfortable. And then eventually at the end of those breaths, lifting your hips up, moving the block to the side, Lower the hips down. Keep the knees bent, but bring them together to connect. Bring the feet out wide. Just letting the lower back broaden, the spine come back into its natural shape. Choosing your hand position and resting down here for as long as you feel that you need to.